What are your thoughts with the spate of kidnappings of school children across the length and breadth of the country under President Bola Tinubu, especially considering the circumstances under which we are told they are released or they walked away, they escaped, and so on? How does it project this government?
Well, you must look at it from the point of view of the Nigerian state itself. And that's regardless of those who are in power now. But as of today, it has escalated to this point because over the years, you've just had leaders who did nothing for the country to make the country have a safe, secure, and prosperous future. Even though we've made so much money from resources that we didn't put there, certainly very great resources. But of course, the current managers are the same set of people who promise you that they'll turn the country into Eldorado, but they have turned into a Hobbesian state. You know what Thomas Hobbes' most important quote is. He said, "It has become a place where life is solitary, very poor, nasty, brutish, and short." That's where Nigeria is today, it's a Hobbesian state. And it was because the current president was one of the architects of the Nigeria that we have today. It didn't start today. He's been a senator. He was senator in 1992
How do you mean by what Nigeria is today? He's an architect of it.
because he was one of the people who even people thought they fought for democracy. Never really fought for democracy. They were fighting to get power. And when they didn't get power in 1993, they ran away. And what were they doing when they left the country? He pretended, alongside some others, to be fighting for democracy. But he was actually dealing in drugs, heroin, and I would.
And that's an allegation.
It's not an allegation. It's stated in a U.S. District Court for official hearing that I was the first to obtain physically from on the outskirts of Chicago, where it had been taken after the case was concluded in 1993. It had been taken to the archives. I purchased a copy of that for some $6. I can't forget. So, and then when they came back into power, having engaged in all kinds of dealings with the military that was leaving. And it was Lagos State Governor for 8 solid years. What did they do in Lagos? They decided that they'll take whatever belongs to the people of Lagos and convert it to their own private accounts and enterprises. And that's how we came about a tax collection procedure by a company owned by Tinubu, known as Alpha Beta. And from there, one of the most vibrant economies in Africa, Lagos' sixth largest economy, was looted. And Lagos today, if it rained, it's not could, does easily go underwater. If the money was spent, they made in Lagos and developing Lagos probably would compete favorably with Amsterdam, or even better. I'm just giving you the background so that you can understand why I said that. So when you now reward such a character with the presidency of Nigeria, what do you expect? And then you look at the ones who work with Buhari, kept Buhari for a second term. And you know what Buhari did to this country, and you know what their political party is doing to the country. And you know what they're doing today, ruining democracy, engaging in unbelievable manipulation of the judiciary or the judicial process. They're engaging in some of the worst set of people that can run a country is in power today. It is difficult, I must say, to tell you who is the worst set of people to govern Nigeria because I've never seen a good one, as to say, but successively, the worst is always the correct. So, and then you take away the right of Nigerians to freely elect their leaders by manipulating the National Electoral Commission, the Independent National Electoral Commission. And for those of us who told you that INEC is a political party as opposed to being an electoral commission, you saw what they did. The man who just left less than 3 months ago has been not found an ambassadorship, effectively giving him immunity to answer for his crime or crimes in the 2023 election. So that is how I came about my conclusion. that you shouldn't have expected anything better. Yes, you have to understand that what is afflicting Nigeria today is the failure to protect the people of Nigeria. The security agencies have failed in their duties. And that brings me back to the reason why I call the IG illegal. You are illegal Inspector General of Police if you continue to remain in office while you are not a policeman. The primary law that governs policing, or who determines or defines a police officer, is the Police Act. And what the Police Act says that the person who is Inspector General of Police must be a policeman. So, but if you are retired, you cannot be called a policeman anymore. That is why you are not different from the guy who was caught in Lagos, a sergeant who had retired, but went back on the highway wearing it. It was the same IG that announced his arrest and prosecution. But you have retired since September of 2024, as having served the police for 35 years. Every policeman is only allowed to serve for 35 years. That law hasn't changed. So anybody who goes around wearing a police uniform after he's retired is acting illegally. So, but his alibi or excuse is that he was appointed by the president to that position. The president cannot carry out an illegality because he's president. He has to conform with the laws of the land. And you know, it's been made very clear where an act of parliament it contradicts the constitution of the country, the ground norm. This constitution supersede. I must say now that I even don't believe in this 1999 constitution because it was the sons of praise of the Nigerian military when they were leaving power. It wasn't made by Nigerian people, so that in itself is one of our biggest problems. But that's my explanation. So all the security agencies just have no capacity, destroy the capacity to work or do or deliver on their mandates because of corruption, incompetence, and collusion. You are not. We're seeing the police and army today failing, the DSS failing. You are not asked about the Nigerian Navy. Do you know that the job of the Nigerian Navy has been contracted out in this country to a private company? Do you know that? The Navy cannot operate in up to 35% of Nigeria waterways. The entire Niger Delta region, the Navy has no power whatsoever to intercept boats, ships, canoes leaving and entering Nigeria waterways or coming to land. It's only in Lagos that they have that capacity or right. In the Niger Delta region, it's privatized. So you know what I mean now. That is why the presidential spokesperson came and told you that they know the kidnappers. They have their phone numbers. They have a Rolodex of kidnappers. They have Rolodex of bandits. And that's because they're engaging as a result of their own failure in what they call non-kinetic engagements, in which they fail to crush where people are found to have violated human rights and have killed unlawfully, which is only states and these agencies are allowed to kill unlawfully or hold somebody. These are crimes against humanity, by the way, but because they have been compromised too much, including in the recruitment process where you recruit Boko Haram militants that you claim are rehabilitated. And let me shock you that the Nigerian government actually has a rehabilitation center for Boko Haram in Gombe State. And they spend more money on those rehabilitation than they spend on any Nigerian university, federal university. So they have set the grounds for what you are saying over time. And they're just playing on your intelligence as citizens by claiming that, oh, you know, we are looking for kidnapped persons. The truth is that today, if someone is kidnapped and you go to the police will warn you not to go and make noise about the kidnapping. Because if you go and start making noise, the kidnappers will call you that the police has told them that you are becoming very stubborn and obstinate, and that they'll come and kidnap you. And they will do that without anybody being able to protect you. A kidnapper can write a letter, or a group of kidnappers can write a letter to a community that they are coming on so dates to kidnap whomever they find, and nobody can protect you. What does that tell you? It's failure of Nigerian state. Yes, Nigeria is a failed state.
Let me take you back to the IGP and your concept of illegality. The National Assembly also passed an amendment bill which the president has assented to, legalizing his appointments. Where does that leave us?
You cannot legalize an appointment of a person retroactively. It was when people started shouting that Akpabio, who is one of the worst Senate presidents in history, decided to pass a law or an amendment to a law, because they realized this before. Within a day, I think they did it in an hour or so. It was just done to try and cover up for the flaws that was seen, because I had started telling him not to even have his new tenure renewed before he'd retired, after what they did to all these young people during the end bad governance. So I was not even in the country when I started to say, your tenure is coming up. You better not try. Because I knew I heard chatters that they were trying to extend his tenure. So, but as there was a lawmaker, I think his name is Gadi or something, who said he's moved out that, yes. And he came out and said, no, what Sowore is saying is not true. Since I replied him, he has not spoken about it again. Because it comes back to this simple concept that you have to be a policeman. Even for that amendment, you must go and amend the constitution to allow policemen to not be able to retire at 35 years of service, or when they reach the age of, for instance, and to make this easy for you, if I'm taken before a federal high court judge tomorrow, and I heard that the guy has retired and they brought him back, I'll tell him, my lord, you can't try me because you are not a judge. It's the same thing I tell him. You can't arrest me because you are not a policeman. When I was arrested over calling him, my constant problem with him, he said he wanted peace during my last arrest, not this last one. And arranged with Fakorede and another person that they should bring me to his office as a condition for my bail. And I told him it was a Friday. I said, I would prefer to stay here till Monday. We go to court. Reason? If I go and meet you in your office, I have now legalized your position as the IG. But if you want to meet me privately, we can meet on the street after you have resigned as IGP. But not as IG, not as I was supposed to have I think it was a 5K or 10K run somewhere in Abuja. He was to come. The moment they told him Sowore is coming, he didn't come because he confided in somebody that he might go there and call me Legality, and I might be forced to beat him up. And I told the person, how is he sure he can beat me? But that's just on the lighter side. But that's how passionate I am about things that I stand strongly against.